what an accomplishment.
Thank you very much. I'm exhausted.
I can't imagine. So I'm curious, other than, the fact that it's Wicked, like was what specifically attracted you to this as your next project?
For me, we were in lockdown, and there were words, and I needed the urgency. I needed to know why it needed to be made right now. And there are words that Elphaba sings. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I thought that hit so deeply in me and where I thought we were all at after the lockdown that it really shook me. I was like, and then as I dug deeper into the lyrics about the wizard, the curtain coming down on the storyteller, and who gets to decide what's beautiful and what's a hero and what's a villain. And to me, that stuff was like, this is where we are right now. Like we are all roommates all of a sudden, and we are all different from each other, and we have to live with each other. Oh my gosh. And we have to decide whether we're just going to live in our own bubbles or actually deal with our differences. And to me, that made it very relevant. That's something we had to make.
Yeah, I was trying to think, going all the way back to the book
Yeah.
Wicked, and when it came out, and I really am convinced that it was sort of the forerunner of this like rise of the anti-hero
Hmm.
in storytelling.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the earliest I can remember where it took a well-known beloved story and flipped it on its head
Yeah.
and gave us, the idea that maybe, yeah, maybe the story was written by the winners, not necessarily the good guys.
Right. I love the question right in the beginning. Why does wickedness happen? Are you born with it, or is it thrust upon you? And that's ultimately the question.
Yeah, and I'm curious why in your, I mean, again, just looking at your filmography, your
Yeah.
time in Hollywood, your time around stories, why do you think that has been resonating so much within the last, decade or two? This idea of exploring, I guess, even the motivations of the villains,
Yeah.
giving even the bad guys some sort of explanation rather than just, they twirl their mustache, that's why they're bad.
Yeah. I think the democratization of storytelling has changed that. I think the fact that we went from you had to have a camera and you had to have an editing system to, hey, it's on your phone and you can film anything you want. You can say anything you want. Hey, and there's technology that now you don't even need to have a studio or a TV station to release it. Your ham radio out. What if you were to get you could reach the president of the United States with one tweet? Like you could do that. That is a very powerful pen to give to generations of people who have not had that microphone. I, growing up, have kind of known that feeling because I've had the microphone. I've been able to make stuff. I've been able to have that marketing campaign. But now everyone has that power. And I think that's both a scary power to have with people who don't know what they're wielding around, and how they say things and what they're doing to people when you actually have that power to declare something. And also, how do you listen? How do you listen, and who are you listening to at that point? These are the things that we're all learning together because I don't think there is a very clear answer. I wish there was. And I think that's changed the way when you talk about a big movie with a giant marketing campaign, who is in charge of saying that and what are they saying has intention now. Everyone's looking at intention and looking at the responsibility of when you have that kind of giant machinery, what are you saying? I think people are just more understand the grammar a bit more and are putting the feet to the fire of the storytellers.
I'm curious too, because I think because you're choosing to tell stories in these ways that broaden representation and move into all of that, in the Heights had controversy. Wicked has already had some controversy with the fan poster and all that kind of stuff. I assume you just kind of like know that these kinds of things are going to happen. Like, how do you, as the person whose name is at the front of this movie, deal with the reality that we all make mistakes? None of us has perfect clarity. And I guess putting something imperfect into the world is better than never putting anything out. Like, that just seems to me like a lot to carry.
Yeah, I think it's hard at first. I think that I'm a human being, and and you're trying to do your best. And when you're trying to as an entertainer, you're trying to get everybody to be excited about what you're saying or agree with what you're saying or whatever. And I guess that's not the point, is people to agree necessarily, but it isn't easy to go through it. But what I've realized after, what I can't do is not do it. You cannot shut down. If you have the opportunity and you have the privilege of having the big microphone, then you have a responsibility to speak as loud as you can about the things that you know. And that doesn't mean you know everything. It just means that's at that moment, this is where you know, and then you go to the next one and you do that, and hopefully you're built for this. If you're not built for this, you're probably out anyway. So I have a lot of pride um, in that this is an ongoing conversation of my movies and culture and where we're at, and um, that maybe if anybody that I've been around long enough that I can survive some of these things internally and externally. And so maybe that can be an example for the next person who has something really important to say, and won't stop saying it because a troll says something or because he gets something wrong in another situation. So it just comes with the territory now.
Well, for one, I'm glad you're built for it. So thank you, sir, for your work and for bringing these films like this into the world. It's such a gift.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.